Well, what's up again there, friends? Brian here, the Three Topics Gamer, here to share with you another awesome worst to best rankings video. This time I'll be going over the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise, or at least a good amount of the Kingdom Hearts franchise of games that I have personally played. Now, before I go into my personal ranking, I would just like to let you guys know that if any of you guys have ever been interested to know where I get my awesome PlayStation swag that I like to show off on the majority of my videos, please know that I'm actually currently doing a promotion with my personal favorite online gaming store, INSERTCOINS Clothing. And if you happen to see anything on their website that you would like to own yourself to sport out in public, please be sure to use my own promotional code, simply going by 3TRIC20, and you can save 20% on all your purchases. So heck, why wouldn't you? I say 20% off is a pretty good deal. And before we get into the ranking video, I would just like to let you guys know that there's only 3 installments of Kingdom Hearts that I haven't played, that being Unchained, Recoded, and 358/2 Days, which is a stupid title. No one can change my mind otherwise. But apart from those games, I've played all the rest of them, except for one that I wasn't able to finish, which I believe is going to be the first game that hits, sadly, the bottom of my list. So, with that out of the way, let's jump right into the list with the lowest and worst Kingdom Hearts game that I've currently played myself, starting off with number 6.
Number 6 on my list has to go to the only installment that I just couldn't get myself to finish, and that is Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Now, I can't really remember exactly what the plot was, but all I remember about it is that it takes place after the events of Kingdom Hearts 2 and it leads into 3, and it requires Sora and Riku to have to visit some dream world, I guess, and that's all I can remember. Now, this really was the first installment that literally had me confused as I was playing the game, and while the gameplay for the most part is pretty standard, it unfortunately has the worst gameplay mechanic that has ever been added to a Kingdom Hearts game. Now, some people have complained about the card system in Chain of Memories, but the drop system is far worse. Now, in concept, it sounds alright. The idea that Sora and Riku are sleeping, and when one goes to sleep, the other one wakes up. But the problem with this is that the drop system has a gauge that will automatically switch to the other character regardless of what you're doing. And this ultimately led to me being stuck in a situation where I literally had both my characters in the middle of boss fights. And because I couldn't win these boss fights fast enough, I was constantly switching between the two and was forced to have to restart each boss fight back and forth. And after the 3rd rotation, I simply gave up and decided to watch the rest of the story on YouTube. And that is why it gets the lowest spot on my list. Number 5 on my list has to go to Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and surprisingly, I actually really like this game on Game Boy Advance, since I never played it on console, nor felt that I needed to. Story-wise, this game takes place immediately after the events of Kingdom Hearts 1, and does a much better job at telling a simple and understanding story that leads into the sequel, better than Dream Drop Distance ever did. Like Dream Drop Distance, this game gives you the opportunity to play as both Sora and Riku, as Sora meets the members that will make up Organization 13 for the first time, while Riku is doing the best he can to defeat the darkness within his heart. Now, the one thing that really stands out the most is the combat system, and how it operates by using a card-based battle system that requires you to reload the deck of cards that symbolize how much damage each of your individual attacks can deal. And though the idea of Sora is losing his memories and has to rely on using cards in order to perform simple functions sounds silly, for me it was actually something I was easily able to adapt to, and during boss fights it certainly brought a great sense of challenge, especially for a Game Boy game. And at the time, it certainly managed to handle some aspects of the franchise better than other games that are on this list, which is what will take us into the number 4 spot, which, if you ask me, that game could have learned a lot of lessons from Chain of Memories. Kingdom Hearts 3 is the newest entry in the franchise. Now, right from the beginning, this game was plagued with problems in just about every single department, and though that doesn't stop it from being a good game, it certainly holds it back from being a great game. You have a story that at this point in the franchise makes absolutely no sense, with an entire middle section of the plot being completely absent, and is filled with characters that have little to nothing to do, with absolutely no character development. You have a combat system that makes the game easier than it's ever been in any previous installment, even on the hardest difficulty, with Sora feeling way OP from the very beginning of the game, providing no challenge factor, with the biggest improvement, at least for me, being the gummy ship sections, which I know most people were not a fan of. Now again, I did not hate this game, but just because a game is easy doesn't make it bad. The gameplay is still very fast-paced and addicting throughout. Visually, it's the best looking Kingdom Hearts game to date, with all the combat actions throughout the game looking absolutely stunning. But just as I'm sure Avengers Endgame is going to do, this game officially killed any interest I have in any future installments. I have been a loyal fan of this franchise since the very beginning, but this is sadly where I am stopping. I will always remain a fan of the franchise, but I think that it is a foregone conclusion that the glory days of Kingdom Hearts ended over a decade ago, and we just didn't know it. And I honestly can't even imagine any real fan looking themselves in the mirror and saying, yes, this was well worth the wait. This is the game we were waiting for. And if you just so happen to feel that way, then I feel very sorry for you. Number 3 on my list is Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which I think serves as not only a solid prequel to the original Kingdom Hearts, but serves as the backbone to exactly what the main plot running throughout the entire franchise is, despite being poorly handled once we got to Kingdom Hearts 3. Now I think that the best quality of Birth by Sleep is how it masterfully handles giving you 3 campaigns that allows you to play as Terra, Aqua, and Van, which in my opinion is something that Kingdom Hearts 3 badly needed. And while the gameplay for each character is more or less the same, I think that the story aspect is really what gives it its strength. And I think that some of the greatest highlights of this game happen when you have all 3 protagonists fighting together, while creating a thrilling atmosphere that certainly makes Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep one of the best installments in the franchise. Number 2 on my list has to go to the very game that started it all, and that is the very first Kingdom Hearts. From the very beginning, Kingdom Hearts had an amazing concept of mixing Disney and Final Fantasy while creating its own unique story and somehow managing to make it all work, starting one of the most popular franchises that has existed over the past 20 years. With me being such a massive fan of RPGs, as I still am even to this day, having a much faster paced action of gameplay and getting a chance to fight alongside such characters as Donald and Goofy, along with many of the classic Disney characters that I grew up watching, was an extra treat. Along with being able to fight against some of my favorite Final Fantasy characters added even more to my experience. This story was simple enough that though it had some depth, it was never too overwhelming and complicated that a child couldn't understand it, and I think that is a major plus. What Kingdom Hearts did was start an amazing foundation that took multiple different elements and made them all work together, and created a magical experience that sadly has faded over time, but that still does not ruin the memories that I cherish and will always keep when it comes to this particular game, and which is why it is certainly one of the all-time greatest in this franchise. But as great as that was, there is still one installment that tops it. Number 1 and my favorite installment of Kingdom Hearts ever also happens to be one of the 11 legendary 10 out of 10 games that I would give, and that is Kingdom Hearts 2. This game, like so many other great video game and movie classic sequels, manages to build off an already great previous installment and improve upon it in every single department. The story this time around has been greatly expanded upon with even greater depth, so much so that a teenage mind could understand, which I just so happened to be at the time of this game's release. The gameplay has been seriously upgraded, not just in terms of speed, but variety, with all the different forms that Sora can transform into giving you a greater output of attacks without removing a challenge factor. This game also has my all-time favorite collection of worlds to visit, not only bringing back some of my favorites from the first game being Aladdin, The Nightmare Before Christmas, and Hollow Bastion, but also adding new ones like Tron, Pirates of the Caribbean, and The Lion King. It even gives you a much better variety of world-focused allies that I could fight alongside, even giving me the opportunity to fight alongside my favorite Final Fantasy character of all time, Auron, which to me earned it some serious fanboy points. This installment also has one of my all-time favorite soundtracks from any game. It is simply incredible. The boss fights in this game easily outclass all other boss fight collections in every other installment in the franchise to date, including Kingdom Hearts 3. And unlike Kingdom Hearts 3, it actually does a superior job at pacing its story, handling its character development, and giving you a really impressive finale that feels well earned. I could go on and on as for why Kingdom Hearts 2 easily takes the top spot, but all that needs to be said is that no matter how many years have passed since Kingdom Hearts 2 was originally released, this will always remain the pinnacle of the franchise, and why it will never lose the #1 spot as my all-time favorite Kingdom Hearts game of all time.
And I think that'll do it for my personal ranking of the Kingdom Hearts games. So now that you guys know my list, I'd like to know, how would you rank the Kingdom Hearts games? Share your list with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to thumbs up and press that subscribe button to keep track of me in my future videos. And if you also could, if you'd like to follow me on social media, don't forget to press the links in the description down below so you can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, so you can have constant updates as for what current project I'm currently working on. And like always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next time.